Okay, if you're curious about this thing, here's what you get. It comes in one of these nice boxes. Sleeve. Charging cable. So you'll need to plug that into a PC or into a charging box. Inspection card. Instruction manual in Chinese and English. It doesn't say that much, but it's better than nothing. The only thing I didn't like about this box, it's minor, but this thing isn't the right size. So when you fit this thing in here, it's a pretty tight fit. Puts a lot of pressure on the triggers, so I would either modify this or throw this out. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. The unit has SD slot on the bottom, or micro card slot on the bottom, USB slots for joystick. Now, I read some people weren't able to plug in joysticks. I tried this Logitech for the PC. It didn't work. I tried this Hori Mini for the PS4. It did work. I think these things are like 30 bucks. You can buy them at Walmart. They're okay. Now, the only thing is, when you fit that in there, it is one hell of a tight fit. And while this unit is built sort of okay, that felt like a lot of pressure. I wouldn't feel too comfortable pulling that in and out. You got the two triggers, power, volume, headphone, HDMI, power charging. Now it takes an HDMI mini cable. That's what it looks like. I had a spare one that came with a camcorder, so that's where I got mine. It works. It looks nice. The video before this is it plugged into the TV, and I've got all the games listed. I've got the 64 gig version. It came with approximately 5,800 games. That card was filled. I think it had about 475 megs free. The stick is nice. The buttons are okay. D-pad's okay. Start, select, menu. Power's on pretty quick. Now everything is, in terms of the brain of the machine, it's internal. So you pop this out, the system will still load up. If you want to add stuff, you just pull this out, add it to it, put it in, and it's there. Now it comes with preloaded systems, so NES, Game Boy Advance, Arcade, Super NES, Genesis, another arcade, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Neo Geo, and PlayStation 1. Now the ROM sets, I'll give them credit, are almost complete for all the systems, except for the arcade. The arcade is just a free-for-all of weird things, but you don't really expect it to all fit on there anyway. And the PlayStation is an odd collection, so you've pretty much got complete sets for the NES, Game Boy Advance, Super NES, Genesis, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Neo Geo. Now I did have to add a couple games because they didn't have some ones that I liked. That's just the way it is. Now when you click on, so what I did was I clicked on NES. It gives you the listing, sorry for the glare, but that's, what am I going to do? So you can go through page at a time. Now it comes with images for most of the games. There's some that are still missing, but they're easy enough to add in. So this one right here doesn't have one. So what you do is, on the card, the different systems are broken down to, so for NES it's FC, and within the FC directory there's an images folder. You put your image in there. It has to be a PNG file. Now the image name has to match the game folder. So if the game is Galaxian, It'll be Galaxian in a game folder, and then inside there'll be the Galaxian ROM. So your image has to match the folder name. Now the actual ROM name could be Galaxian 1941, but if the folder says Galaxian, then the image has to say Galaxian. Now, this first thing is the list of all the games, the different systems. History is the last 100 that you've played. You can easily add favorites. Now the thing with the favorites is they're not alphabeticalized, and it has a limit of 100. So when you're playing a game, you press select, and there we go. Press select again, and it's unfavorited. Now you can do a search too, but I found the search didn't work very well. The file, you can see the different folders there. Now, people have complained that they haven't been able to install games. So what's going on is they're adding the game but not syncing the system. So what happens is you add a game, press X, where's X? X, you get this option screen, you go down to sync game file list, and it'll reset your card. Now it'll take a while, you're looking at 5-10 minutes, but once that's done, what you've added will show up. So if you added a game to the NES games, you sync it, it'll show up. Now another way to play the game is just to go to the directory. Like you go to File, oops, where am I going here? You go to Game, you find your directory, you find the file, and you can load it that way too. But it's better to sync it, I would think. Now in terms of the battery, I haven't tested the battery from start to finish, but I did run it from full to half, and it was just over 3 hours. I think 3 hours and 20 minutes. So you're probably going to get at least 4, 5.5 hours on a single charge. It doesn't take that long to charge. The build is okay. Like, it's not the best, but it's certainly not the worst. I don't mind it. The games play okay. There was a couple sound issues with some of the NES or Super NES. Some people have complained that the Super NES don't work, but I found that they work. I think the thing that this system has going for it is it's relatively cheap. I paid 64 bucks Canadian with shipping. Probably find it for a little bit cheaper, but it was definitely worth it. And what I like the best about it is the OS is super easy. I didn't really have to add much to it. I don't have to do anything. The SD card, or the microSD card, shows up on a Windows 10 system, a Windows 7 system, so it's not one of these systems where you have to have the latest version of Windows to access it. In terms of how this compares, it's better than one of these cheap 501 game systems by miles. It's better than one of these subsystems, but it's not quite as good as these systems by Anna Bernack. This is still a better system, but this thing cost me double the money. So if you're on a budget, this is the cheaper option. And if you have trouble finding ROM sets, this is definitely the option. The thing that I like about this is the games that are there load alphabetically. That's nice. You can add the images. That's nice. Now when you're playing a game, some people are crazy about image size. To me, as long as the gameplay, who cares what it looks like really? But you can go to settings. You can adjust the screen size, full screen scale. Now, I found One game didn't work properly. There's an Atari game for the Game Boy Advance. That thing crashed. There was another game that didn't work. The Contra arcade version ran slow. So obviously I haven't played all the games, but most of them played fine. I did run into the odd one that didn't. I was surprised that the PlayStation games actually ran. There's an odd collection of PlayStation games. Again, look at the video before and you can see the complete list. There's 95 games, and every one I tried ran. So it's weird. You've got these low-end systems, and then you've got the PlayStation. I was surprised that it ran. Now, I wasn't able to add different systems. I tried to add some Atari Lynx. That didn't work. I tried to add some Sega Master System. That didn't work. So you can't add separate emulators, and you can't get the game to run, at least those two systems. Maybe there's another system you can get it to run. I'm not sure, but Lynx and Master System didn't work. Overall, I think it's a super fun system. I think if you're getting this for someone who's not too familiar with handhelds and adding stuff, this is probably perfect. It's easy enough to tweak to get it the way you want it to look in terms of game list. I think the only things that I maybe would have liked to have seen was maybe for the favorites, maybe you can alphabeticalize them, but you can just go through the favorites, I guess, delete them and add them in alphabetical order yourself. But I paid $60. I don't regret it. Trying to think if there's anything else to add. That's about it. I had fun with it. I like it. Definitely worth $64. If you want. I think the thing that I like best about it is that there's games in here that I haven't seen. Like there's the odd Japanese game that I haven't seen. There's the odd PlayStation game that I haven't seen. So I think getting it and just looking at these new games, or new to me games, was the funnest thing. Definitely a fun little system, and it shuts off pretty quick. Now there's a reset button there too. When I first tried to sync the game list, I thought the system crashed, and after a couple minutes I just did a hard reset, and that probably was a mistake. But it worked. I had added 2 games, and I guess I powered off before it fully synced, so it had recognized one game but not the other one. So I wasn't sure what happened there, but you just let it run. Make sure it's charged up or connected, because like I said, it'll take about 5-10 minutes. Definitely a fun little system. I like it. It's probably the best budget one I've played. If you got the money, get one of these. But I think this thing cost me $110, $120, and this one cost me half of that. So this was the better deal. Plus, I'm not really a fan of the system on these things, the Emulac operating system. This thing is what I like, nice and simple, because it matches me simple. So there you go. If you're interested, check it out. You know what you're getting yourself into. I don't regret buying it. I'll have lots of fun with it in the future. That's it.